These are the three substances that you'll be separating in this experiment. The first of these you're very familiar with. This is sodium chloride. Record your observations about the appearance of sodium chloride. The second of these is silicon dioxide. Record your observations about the appearance of silicon dioxide. The third substance is calcium carbonate. Record your observations about the appearance of calcium carbonate. Understanding what each of these substances looks like is important, but we want to learn a little bit more about their physical and chemical properties so that we can separate these components of a mixture. Here in test tube 1, I have sodium chloride, and I'm adding a small amount of water to see what happens. As you're making your observations here, think about whether what you're observing is a physical or chemical property of sodium chloride. As you know, sodium chloride is an ionic compound, meaning it forms a crystal lattice that can sometimes take a little bit of work to break up with a solvent. So here I'm just shaking the water and sodium chloride mixture so that we can better observe the physical properties of sodium chloride. Next, we're going to take a look at silicon dioxide. I'm again going to add a small amount of water to this test tube containing silicon dioxide, and we're going to observe what happens. In your lab notebook, again record your observations regarding how silicon dioxide behaves with water. Lastly, we'll look at how calcium carbonate behaves when mixed with water. Again, record your observations in your lab notebook. As you complete recording your observations, remember that what we're looking for here are differences in the physical and chemical properties of these substances. It's the differences that will allow us to separate each component of the mixture. Next, we're going to take a look at how each one of these substances behaves when mixed with hydrochloric acid. Here in test tube 1, I have sodium chloride, and I'm adding a small amount of hydrochloric acid. As you're recording out your observations, again think about whether we're looking at physical or chemical properties here. In my second test tube, I have silicon dioxide, and again I'm going to add a small amount of hydrochloric acid. Here, once again, record your observations and think about whether we're looking at physical or chemical properties. Lastly, in test tube 3, I have calcium carbonate. Again, I'm going to add a small amount of hydrochloric acid to this calcium carbonate solid. Record your observations about what happens in this test tube when these substances are mixed together. Again, as we're looking at these properties, we want to identify differences so that we can separate these components when mixed together.